Rebecca of Studio Plum.
And I'm Sean of Renstead Interiors. We're interior designers
Turned internet friends.
turned real life friends.
Welcome to the Hot Young Designers Club podcast.
We're not that hot.
Or that young.
Every week, we'll be spilling the tea on how a new generation of interior designers can run their businesses.
Welcome to the club. Hey, Sean.
What's up, Rebecca?
It's a new year.
New year, new me.
It's almost a new quarter in the new year. A lot is up. Yeah, we've had a lot, and we're here.
We're still here. We never left.
I mean, we never left, but we're sharing our here-ness. We have a lot of updates to share.
Oh, man. Okay. Like, what's been up? Y'all have missed out on...
What happened? Let's just get it all out there. Like, we made an announcement Sean was leaving. I put everything on hold, and then we went dark. So now
everyone missed out. It's like what happened during last season on Hot Young Designers Club.
Just do the recap.
Okay, recap. It's summer of 2021. And everything's busy, especially for Renstead Interiors, which was just me at the time. And business was really picking up. The income stream, y'all, is very addictive. That's part of it, is like there's a lot of time that's needed to dedicate to the projects that I was working on and still is. And it's just a lot of overwhelm. Like, had my hands in too many things, a lot of stuff going on. I think a lot of our listeners will even remember summer of 2020 that my dad had a stroke. And then not long after, Rebecca, your dad had a smaller, less severe stroke. But
yeah, it was dad's stroke 2020.
So that was, I realize now, like looking back at that time, my body and my mind and my emotional intelligence went really into survival mode through 2020 and then even into early 2021, and like dealing with the trauma of that. You know, the good news is my dad is as healthy as he can be at home and independent in Arizona, which is great news. But I don't think I was dealing with that and getting through a lot of that until really far into 2021, and then trying to keep my business working at the same time. And
meanwhile, like, again, global pandemic, like I think we're all kind of like sort of starting to get a perspective on what that really meant. Means.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, still limited social engagements and like not realizing how much we need to like refill our buckets, and balancing all of that business with the podcast was just becoming impossible. It was so much work because we were dedicating a lot of time to the show, to episode content, to interviews, and you know, on top of that, to see business picking up where it was just me, was like, I just couldn't do it. Even when we tried to do the summer skip series and make that fit too, it was just like the work was still there and there was a lot going on.
And behind the scenes, we were trying to figure out how to kind of make it monetized so it could fund itself, which we'll get to. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But there was a lot of other things we were trying to get done, and it was overwhelming for sure.
And just like us, we're always taking on new things and trying to figure out a new balance too. So it's not like for every time we think we're going to like clear our plate, we also are kind of like drawn to having more things in front of us.
Oh yeah, like, let me just start a whole new business. So So yeah, we made those announcements. Sean, decided to take a permanent pause in July, I think.
Yeah, and then we aired episodes throughout.
We still had episodes.
The end of summer, early fall.
I did a little like give me a minute episode, and I took a minute, and I spent, so I guess that was probably 3 months just in limbo. Like, I couldn't, like, I wish I knew how to quit you. And I couldn't do it. So I couldn't let it go, but I also didn't want to just like do it by myself. And I
Yeah.
looked at a lot of different scenarios. I talked to different people. I had actually some really great ideas. I just couldn't make the time and money work for it to make sense because this podcast, we aren't, trying to sell you business coaching full time, or we don't have
Right.
products to sell this audience of interior designers. So it's hard for it to be justified to make sense because you guys aren't going to hire us to decorate your house.
Yeah.
So, um, so I just sat with it. I talked to my therapist a lot, and I just couldn't make any movement on it, which is kind of rare for me because I get an idea and I just move on one.
Yeah.
So
You're usually like quick to run, like, oh, it has legs. Okay, great. Let's move the idea. Like, let's keep it going.
yeah, but I also, when I get stuck like this, I know something's kind of simmering that I don't
Hmm.
have the answer to yet. So I just can let it be. Um, so yeah, in the meantime, I started a new business. We'll catch up more on that later. Um, Christmas, holidays, blah, blah, blah. Then we went, but in the meantime, we're still doing our daily podcast on Marco
Yeah,
Polo
we're
with
still on
Claire.
Marco
Like,
Polo. You and Claire came. Claire was already coming to LA for a trip. And
oh
then
yeah, and
Claire
I
of
was,
Etch and Ivy. And then you were like, major FOMO, I'm gonna come to LA too.
yeah.
And so we got to do like everybody got to see their families here in Southern California, and we got to do some designer showroom days. And that was like end of summer. And then we
We
went to
went to
High
High
Point.
Point.
Then we went to High Point in October, which was uh overwhelming, amazing, tiring, invigorating all at the same time.
Hmm. And then we went to Vegas in January.
Yeah.
And you came up and visited. So like
I
we've
visited you like in
definitely,
November.
yeah, we've
Or
seen each
no,
other
early
and talked.
December. That was early December. You already
Oh
had
yeah, it was our holiday.
you had your new business space that I got to preview.
Yeah.
So
So we've been like behind the scenes, like chilling, but the podcast hadn't totally like gasped its last breath yet.
no, I think I miss
So
like the sense of community also. Like,
I could tell that you were kind of missing some of it because we'll talk more about this too. You got some support in your business.
mhm,
And so we went to Vegas in January, and Rick Campos from Design Biz Survival Guide invited us to a happy hour he was hosting. And he's been kind of in our ear, like, we need to get back in the game.
yeah. He's been very encouraging. He's like, you got to do this. Like, people need to hear your voice. You guys are sharing something that's unique and different, which I don't need anyone to like build us up, but it's really helpful to hear other professionals, and we heard from other designers at in High Point and in Vegas, like people running into us saying they listen to
Yeah.
the show, or
The
that's
show's
how they
been
know
growing. So
us.
I've still, been keeping tabs on things. The show's been growing without us doing anything. So that was also like, oh, we built this. I don't want to just let it go. So I kind of got in Sean's ear and I'm like, what if we try something again?
Yeah. And what
And
if it's different? Like,
and
what
what if
if we
it's
figure out
different?
that?
And what if we take like the make it a successful business kind of out of it and make it just fun, but also figure out a way to cover the production costs so we're not so stressed with the hamster wheel of producing a show.
Yeah.
Because just so you know, like I was doing all of the editing. I learned how to be a podcast editor.
Rebecca, you guys learn how to be a producer.
Yeah, well, we both were doing production or producing with bringing on guests, and Sean was handling all the social media, and we had just like this kind of machine every
And
week, that was a lot. I
yep,
mean, it was kind of
it's
a
hard
lot.
to feed the beast. Like round one edits, I go through and listen and cut out sections and then edit for when we're like breathing into the microphone too long.
Oh
And
my
then
God.
Rebecca has to go back and do like the real like smooth edit and drop in the audio. And it's a lot.
It's a lot. And I liked learning it. I thought, I'm glad that I know how to do it, but now I'm ready to move on. So move
It's like
on
learning
from
how
that.
to it's like learning how to do drywall in your house and you're like, oh yeah, but that'd be so much easier if someone else did it now. Like,
Or like QuickBooks or whatever. Like you
yeah,
want to
like
know
I
how to
can,
do it in case like someone
and you
can't for
should,
some
we
reason.
should know like
Yeah.
the nuts and bolts of it. But you know, day to day, let a specialist do it and it'll be faster and easier, but it won't always be cheaper. But
Definitely not. But and maybe it will be because the time we were dedicated could be spent on other things that will bring us income and grow the businesses we want to really grow
right,
into bigger businesses. So here's what we're doing.
like a new philosophy, the way we're approaching the podcast
Yeah, not much
is,
will change for listeners.
yeah, I think part of it was you used the words that really got my attention when you said it's like not anti, or do you say non-business or anti-business or
A non-business business.
yeah, like the idea like we approach this podcast with the same level of like invigoration and tenacity that we approach our own design businesses, which is like
And
the
professionalism, which was a little extreme.
yeah, it was like super organized Asana projects. And I thought like, oh, that'll help us enter this space. And it was like, well, we're already in the space. So I think that's part of stepping back is realizing like we're already showing up, we're already here, we're doing a lot more than where others could be in the space. And that has value by itself. So cutting ourselves a break and realizing like if we can't record at a certain time, it's okay. Like, but we were literally booking up our calendars between our business appointments and rushing from appointment to appointment and getting ourselves like stressed out on not making it or having to rush a recording. And I think that's the philosophical side is like, we're going to give ourselves more grace than we did
And I
before.
think it makes sense because the way we've approached the content has been more casual in nature. We're
Yeah.
obviously not super serious people. We want this to feel a little bit more collaborative. Like we don't have all the answers, we're learning together.
And we want to
So,
have fun again with it. Like, if it's too
yes,
serious, it's not fun.
it has to be if it's not going to be a big moneymaker, it has to be fun. But we do need we do need some financial support. So here's our pitch to you.
Yeah. All of the hotties. And I know you're all still out there because, like Rebecca said, the downloads are still happening. And there's thousands of listeners out there who are still enjoying the show and didn't realize we were gone and catching up on episodes.
Yeah, they're still catching up. Welcome to
So
2022.
yeah, it's 2022. It's 2022. You maybe didn't even realize there was a gap in the episodes because we just like pick back up if you're listening on your favorite
Oh,
podcast
it's like
platform.
when you are like late to binge watch a show and you get to like catch up on 3 seasons right
Yeah,
before the new season starts. Yeah,
it's like perfect timing. So
great.
we looked at Rebecca looked at this longer even before I was kind of thinking about coming back in of like how do we make the podcast sustainable in itself, from timing, energy, all of that, but also sustainable from a financial perspective, which involves needing to be able to bring on someone to do the production behind the scenes components.
Because we both decided that if we could just show up to the microphone and have ideas and have free time to interact more with you guys, it feels sustainable.
Yeah.
So that means we need to outsource editing, production, and social media.
Yeah. And that means like the show notes, the editing, the posting the episodes, reviewing them, it's hours and hours worth of time that gets committed to that process for you to hear even just 45 minutes of a show.
So we are joining many other podcasters into the open arms of Patreon.
Yes.
And
Papa
we are real
Patreon.
we're hoping to get your support. Um, so our ask right now is for $5 a month. Basically, you're just buying us. I mean, can you even get a
It's
cup of coffee for
I mean, I
$5?
think Starbucks raised their prices, so
I
yeah,
don't think
it
you could buy us an
about
oat
the
milk
cost of a cup of
latte.
coffee.
Less than an oat milk latte.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, Patreon, if you've never used it, it's really, really simple to use. It's a community. It basically builds a community and a support network that right now we're just having one tier, $5. You get our internal gratitude, and we'll keep the lights on. Our goal is, and the mic's on. Our goal is to get 250 patrons. And if we get there, then we know we can keep this going, and we'll probably build other tiers with actual things that deliverables and things that we can share that will be valuable.
Right. Yeah, because our I know that that was something that was we were starting to build on that momentum, and part of the coach when we were doing HYDC coaching and building up on that is listeners were like, I if you've already figured out the process on something or you figured out a form, save me the time of having to do it and give me like I will pay you for the form. I will pay you for the guide that you use. I will pay you for the resources you've created. And I think that that's the we'd like to be able to do that, but it's not just as easy as sending a blast email with forms. It's, we have to have commerce platforms and do all of that. Patreon helps make that easier for us to be able to grow into those things and help compensate for the time and energy we have to take to create those tools and make them shareable.
Exactly. And the Patreon is also just giving us a proof of concept, like, you guys love us
You
enough to
want
give
to hear
us
more of our voices on a regular basis.
that it's worth it to keep doing it.
Right.
So this is something we've like talked about and kicked around, and since the beginning of starting the pod, we were hoping to not really have to do this, but we decided it was actually the best way. Um, Not to say that we won't have sponsors again, we may go down that road, but again, that's a lot of like effort and work and speaking with
Dozens of
brands and
hours go into pitching, identifying brands, pitching brands, getting the right marketing contact, showing them the value of having a reach to an exclusive designer audience. And this is not our full-time job. Like it could be someone's full-time
well, it is a
job. Just
lot of people's.
yeah, if you're an influencer out there, your only job is all day to be hustling for your next sponsorship. And it's the same story with podcasts, but without as much of a payoff, unfortunately, until you're like these really gigantic podcasts. And we'd rather do what is good for our listeners. Like you guys tell us, like you're the sponsor then. You guys, part of what we want to offer, what is being offered in that $5 a month is the ability to preview content and request episode, content and ideas from us and give us feedback on what works and what doesn't. And we can pay more attention to you this way than we could under any other platform.
Yeah, Patreon gives us some great tools to be able to do polls, ask questions, get comments, a little bit of a message board where, yeah, like Instagram DMs get out of control. Facebook, no one's even
No
there.
one's on Facebook. Facebook's dead. I'm sorry, hotties. If
Building,
any of you are on Facebook for your business, it's time to move.
well, okay, well, we can get into
Oh,
that.
I'm already bringing the drama. Sorry.
um, Well, yeah, and there's plenty of great community platforms, and we explored those thoroughly last year, and that was kind of part of the problem is building a community platform is a lot of work.
Yeah.
So you're seeing the theme. We're trying to really like streamline HYDC so it stays fun, takes care of itself, and nobody's resentful about how much time they're putting into it.
Yeah, I mean, really, like this, we think about this the same way we think about our design businesses, this is the way it is. Like, you wouldn't give free design advice to potential clients without there being a way to sort of balance that with compensation in some way. The podcast is a similar fashion. I think for a long time we started to see like creators really just like creating for the sake of creating, um,
Mhm.
and other influencers and podcasters. And then I part of what was encouraging to me is watching other influencers who are saying, I can't chase sponsorship dollars anymore and still be able to sustain my life. And if you all want to support me, like this is the way to do it, where you can actually show your appreciation very directly for the work that we do, what I try to bring to you, and I would
If
rather
you
pay
find
attention to
it
all the designers.
yeah, and if you find it valuable. So we will have a link in our show notes and Instagram. Oh, it's already on Instagram actually.
Yeah.
Patreon.com. It's Patreon. Patreon.com/HYDC is our page.
Yep.
And
Sign up
yeah,
and be a basic hottie for $5.
and that's our big pitch.
That's the strategy. What we really do need, though, like to reinforce that, is we need that first level of kind of proof of concept from our patrons to make it sustainable for this. So if you or designers that have loved the show and you say, you know what, Rebecca and Sean have given us that value and you want to see that continue, it's $5 a month. It's less than an oat milk latte, and that helps us keep the lights on. Um, and we'd love to keep bringing you all of the ideas. We've got a few episode ideas lined up coming up. And of course, the patrons help us make those go even faster and smoother and get back into the things that you love, like process parties and how our proposals work and how all of our other internal workings go.
Yeah, and maybe even if we level up getting into video content a little bit. But we're not there
You're
yet.
tired just thinking of it, but the goal
I'm
is
also excited. Like I think what excites me about Patreon is that podcast right now we're recording and we're just talking to each other with this like, I don't know, invisible audience.
yeah.
But this will give us a little bit more of a instant feedback and a place to actually really talk to people. So
Yeah.
um
Yeah, because even if we put these on YouTube, it's like there's no live interaction to it. And it was, for me, it was encouraging to be at like High Point in Vegas Market and have hotties come up, which thank you to those of you that
oh my
did. Like, you
gosh,
never have to
Sean's like
feel
super fan club. Oh my god, you're the
you're the guy
reels
who does the reels.
guy.
Which I'm
You're
so
Jesus's
excited to
baby.
uh Jesus baby. I
If you
I
know, you
like
know.
doing them, and no one should ever feel like they can't come up and say hi. It's so exciting for me to feel like it provided value. It's very emotionally like positively reinforcing for me to know that it matters. And I am definitely not a big like approval seeker, or I'm not big on
Fame whore.
praise. That's not me. Like, that's just not in my DNA. It's a very like Danish trait I realized from my family, which is like
Mm,
no one wants to be famous and no one wants to be recognized more than others because like everyone is working hard.
it's the
But
tall
in that,
poppy syndrome. I think I've talked about that before.
yeah, but like in that same line, to hear that feedback and to hear like it's so helpful and I'm so glad I'm not alone, like that that made the decision to think about coming back that much easier, because I know that it's helping someone. And like
Yeah.
that was sort of the first
And
goal when we
it's like
wanted to start the show.
real people. Like we spend so much of our lives online and I have lots of friends online
Yeah.
only, but seeing like, yeah, you like getting to chat with your drunken groupies at dinner in High
Oh
Point.
yeah, that was a
That
they
was
like had
great.
me sit down with them at their
Oh, I know.
table.
Selfies,
And you guys were like, didn't he just say he
autographs.
was going to the bathroom? Like, I hope he's okay. And then I'm over at their table for like that was a while I was over
Drinking
there.
Cosmos, I know. Um, okay, so that's that. You'll be hearing more about that. Sorry and thank you in advance. Hey guys, this is your mid-episode reminder to join us over on Patreon.
Yes, for our $5 monthly membership, you help us keep the lights on and help us make the content even better. So where do they need to go?
Patreon.com/HYDC.
You got it.
Thanks, hotties. Right now, we're just going to do a quick also doing what exactly have you been doing in the last 4
Like
months?
yeah, well, longer. I mean, like from the end of summer up till we're now like late winter, basically, because it's February. So I
Yeah.
think, okay, big deals. I hired an assistant in
Mm-hmm.
October. They actually started like right like October 2nd or something. Like and then we went to High Point after like their first week.
Oh,
And
yeah.
gratefully it's been good. My assistant's working probably 25 to 30 hours a week, which it's amazing how much more I can get accomplished with having someone to back me up. Um I don't think Marcos does. Marcos is my assistant. He does not listen to the show, which is
Marcos.
maybe is a good thing, but also it's not like I'm here, talking trash or something. But yeah, Marcos has had years of experience working in residential model homes and dealing with like procurement, accessorizing, styling, space planning. He's been a really remarkable help to have as part of the Renstead team. And I've really been leaning into that outsource it, make life easier phase, like even in leveling up the types of architects or construction documentation, um, like that I have to do for projects. And it's just like that I can't do everything. I can't create all of these as built floor plans by myself anymore. And so that's been really encouraging to like have that going on. Um,
Mhm.
we're building a pool on the personal side of things at the Sir Hacienda.
Casual.
Yeah, just like you do. Um, and that's been a highlight to be able to finally get to do a project like that we've dreamed of for years. Like very for hashtag humble brag, but like very fortunate to be in a place where our careers support us to a place that we can do that.
Mhm.
And to have the emotional bandwidth to be able to think about taking on a big project, like I couldn't do that without the help that Marcos has been giving to the business, continuing to take on more clients because now we have the space to be able to space out projects differently. So now we have 10 projects we're running as of like this weekend.
Nice.
So they're all in various stages. Some are just furnishing, some are remodel. Um,
And you
it's
seem much less stressed.
I feel like I was treading so much water and then now I'm like back on dry land is sort of like the metaphor for it. Like
Or your
when I was
Cabo shelf.
yeah, I'm on my Baja shelf now. Like I have a space to actually settle. Whereas like heading into summer and early fall of last year, I just felt like I was never as prepared as I should be for calls or meetings with clients or presentations. Like I was constantly trying to play catch up. And to the degree where I kind of go into that space of editing out things, like I would tell Sean, no, like can't talk about any house stuff until Saturday. Like hold a list. Like don't give me anything because my brain is so full. Or
Mhm.
like not seeing my family often because I was just so stressed that I'm like, I'm not gonna be any fun to be around. And I
Or you
finally
didn't want to
feel,
cook, like,
oh
yeah.
God, yeah, we offloaded cooking, like we're like down to bare bones types of meals for a while because it was just like food is a chore and food is like I don't enjoy cooking because it takes an hour to cook it and 15 minutes to eat it. And then I had to go sit back at my desk. And now I feel like I'm rejoining over the course of the last 5 months, like rejoining the human race.
Welcome back.
Thanks. If that resonates with any hotties, we're going to talk more about the hiring process because people brought it up in Vegas just a couple weeks ago. Like, we will talk about it. And you've had more going on than you're actually like leading on to. Like,
I know. I don't know how to not do stuff.
yeah.
Okay, so our friend Claire, if you're new here, Claire from HYDC, she's our third in our design besties daily Marco Polo. Her and I, she's local to me in Sacramento, and we have been just having this fantasy of opening a physical space that we could build a material library and really like invest in amazing materials, space and time, and also like a little bit of a designer co-working, and ultimately an upholstery showroom where we could have clients and people by appointment can book time to do sit tests and select custom fabrics and sell upholstery that way. So it'll benefit, all of these things benefit our clients directly, our personal clients, because we each run our own design firms, but also have another source of revenue. So it's kind of like when you say like, well, let's just go look at the puppy. we
And then
decided
you already
like
know that you're in love before you get there.
yeah, you can't just go look at a puppy. Like you have to be prepared to bring one home that day.
Agreed.
So we went last summer, we started looking just to look and kind of see what was out there in the commercial real estate. And of course, we found one pretty immediately. So we've been in the space since October, and it's just now in February livable.
Okay, it was livable when I visited in December.
Okay,
like you guys had a bathroom, you had the lights on, it had
but it
temperature
didn't have pink
control.
wallpaper. Like that's
No,
not livable.
it wasn't pretty yet, which is the hard part of like being a designer is you can look at tons of commercial spaces and realize like they're all hideous or
Oh my
almost all are
God.
hideous unless you want to spend tens of thousands of dollars.
And this one was brand new. Like it's very like traditional warehouse in the back, little office in the front, drop ceilings, like horrible brown green floor tiles. But it was all
Vinyl
brand new.
baseboards.
Yes. So we spent some time, we replaced the floors. The nice thing is this warehouse has HVAC. So it's got heating and air, which is critical.
Yes.
For our weather, and we knew we could use it as kind of a flex space to work out of. So basically, we officially opened Happy Hour Design Collective, is what we're called. We're on Happy Lane, and
so cute.
It's so cute. And we took over the space next door for our showroom because we realized we needed more room and we wanted that space before it booked or before it rented out. So yeah, it's been just a lot of startup mode, getting the space like ready, building the material library, organizing it, all the marketing and everything that goes into it.
Tours with designers, like getting all the designers in who want to use desk space and rent desk space.
Have 5 members now. Like honestly, I could just like work in startup mode permanently. Like that's definitely my favorite place. But that does not pay the bills.
Yeah. And
you actually have to like book shit.
You have to like get the appointments in, get the clients in. For you guys, like being stocking dealers of things is like the way to really build in the revenue stream. So it's like it's smart, and it's like we know the concept works because we've seen so many other designers do it. But it goes back to when you were saying originally, like you don't want to run a boutique or a store or anything, which is why I think it's cool that it
Well,
is
I
this
want to
like
have one. I
exclusive.
don't want to run one.
Yeah,
But
someone else needs to do the day to day.
yeah, that's the next fantasy, is to somehow turn it into a retail space that we don't have to, yeah, work at.
Yeah, I don't want to be like, oh shoot, am I going to be there in time to like unlock the shop when during the opening hours, or like
Oh God.
doing inventory? Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to manage schedules of the shop assistants. Like, I don't want to. I don't.
No.
I've already got enough going on in my life,
So
but
yeah,
I think
that's
it's
not anytime soon. So yeah, right now it's just by appointment only, or we're not really like we're not in a walking neighborhood or anything anyway. So we are really excited. It's been really, really fun. It's been fun collaborating with Claire on it. We're taking on small projects together as happy hour too. So it's becoming, yeah, we have a lot of ideas of building community, but also building new sources of income that are um, kind of a new option when a project doesn't fit either of our businesses.
right.
So I'm sure we'll be talking more about those things down the road.
Yeah, I already
Um,
wish there was a franchise in Long Beach.
Coming soon.
But
Well,
that's not a hint, listeners. That's not. I am
it's
not.
not.
I'm not doing that yet. I'm not at that place yet. But I wish that there was that same environment locally, because designers everywhere are missing that, and
Like, I
that's feedback that's come out
honestly
of this.
feel like it's kind of a brilliant
It's
idea.
it's like it's WeWork and a sample showroom combined, like, but just for designers, which makes it so much easier to like let your hair down
And
and to
there have
speak
been,
freely and to ask questions, because you are all doing the same type of work
well,
and you
right.
can
And so
relate on a whole new level.
we're already getting rep visits. We're going to do a lot of education. And honestly, just like designing in a library where you have hundreds, maybe thousands of samples
Yeah,
has been a game changer.
it's so much
Um,
faster to pull ideas together when you have everything in front of you, and reps can just say like, here's that whole collection, keep it. Like,
yeah, like we have more buying power and like service, like people want to service us more than when we were just independent.
yeah.
Um, so that's been great. Definitely we'll be talking a lot about that. I also, on a personal level, I don't know, I tried to edit it out a lot in the old podcast episodes, but did I ever talk about this? I don't know if was
On
diagnosed
your
with an
Instagram, but not
issue.
on the podcast, I
Yeah,
think.
because it happened after I think we stopped recording. So I've had a breathing issue for a few years. You probably could hear me kind of wheezing or gasping for breath or coughing a lot. I won't go into gross detail, but basically, I have this condition where my trachea builds scar tissue and closes,
It
which,
sounds just as scary and dangerous as that just
hey guys,
sounded.
this is your mid episode reminder to join us over on Patreon.
Yes, for our $5 monthly membership, you help us keep the lights on and help us make the content even better. So where do they need to go?
Patreon.com/HYDC.
You got it.
Thanks, hotties. I don't have until I finally got the right diagnosis, and they were able to. So my trachea was 70% closed.
Oh my God. I don't think I remember that number. It's scary when you hear that, to realize like
Yeah.
breathing, we take it for granted. The ability to like catch your breath after climbing a flight of stairs. Like,
Oh my God, you've been with me when I was like, I couldn't climb a flight of stairs. Like I was
but then it
like
also like creates anxiety, which makes
gasping.
it worse.
Yeah,
Like
for
then you're like,
sure.
oh my God, am I going to be able to catch my breath? Am I going to be able to recover from this
Or
quickly?
even like
It's
this show, that was part of one of my other issues too, is like I couldn't do long multiple sentences. So I anyway, I got diagnosed in the fall, and then they were able to get me a surgery right away. but it was scheduled. The only opening was 2 days before. No, the day before I was leaving for High Point.
Yeah.
I got it the day before. I
Yeah.
had, because we were flying out on a red eye the next night. So I kind of had 24 hours.
Oh
And the
God.
doctor said I could do it. And I went for it because I just wanted it done before I went because I knew we'd be in masks a lot and walking a lot. And it was amazing. So that
And it
worked out great.
worked.
Yeah, I feel great still. It most likely will come back. It's kind of a chronic thing, so everyone's different, but
But
now I
there's a
know at least
treatment
what it
plan.
is. Yeah, and the surgery is pretty easy. It's laser. Um, yeah, so that's also makes me excited to be on a microphone, not constantly muting myself and being scared of how much I'd have to talk.
You're
Now I'm
like
never gonna
pulling.
shut up. Oh
can't
shit.
can't stop me now.
Yes, lots of changes, lots of exciting things. Still pretty much the same level of stress, but it's okay.
I mean, there's pathways ahead of us to work on, like, what does the next step look like to make that better, to get ahead of it. We're going to share some of that with the hotties. So thank you to all of you guys for continually supporting what we're doing, supporting the Patreon, sending encouraging messages to Rebecca and I separately on Instagram. And just like that goes a long way.
It really does. So if you're here, thank you. Until next time.
Stay hot, designers.
Thanks for joining this meeting of the Hot Young Designers Club podcast.
If you liked what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Check out the show notes there for links to things we talked about today.
We are keeping the conversation going on Instagram, so don't forget to like, comment, and follow at Hot Young Designers Club.
You can find Rebecca on Instagram at Studio Plum.
And you can find Sean at Renstead Interiors. That's WRENSTED. I forgot how to do it.
It's a hey Sean, what's up,
Yeah.
Rebecca?
Okay.